जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीर वनचारी। यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। कृष्णाय विश्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, verse number 38. Yad bāhu-daṇḍābhyudayānujīvino yadu-pravīrā akutobhayā muhuḥ adhikramanty aṅghribhir āhṛtāṁ balāt sabhāṁ sudharmāṁ sura-sattamocitām yad bāhu-daṇḍābhyudayānujīvino yadu-pravīrā akutobhayā muhuḥ adhikramanty aṅghribhir āhṛtāṁ balāt sabhāṁ sudharmāṁ sura-sattamocitām yad bāhu-daṇḍābhyudayānujīvino यदु-pravīrāya akutobhayā adhikramanty aṅghribhir āhṛtāṁ balāt sabhāṁ sudharmāṁ sura-sattamocitām. Bāhu-daṇḍābhyudayānujīvino yadu-pravīrāya akutobhayā adhikramanty aṅghribhir āhṛtāṁ balāt sabhāṁ sudharmāṁ sura-sattamocitām. Bāhu-daṇḍābhyudayānujīvino yadu-pravīrāya akutobhayā adhikramanty aṅghribhir āhṛtāṁ balāt sabhāṁ sudharmāṁ sura-sattamocitām. Translation and purport, word meaning by Srila Prabhupada. Yad, whose, bāhu-daṇḍa, arms, abhyudaya, influenced by, anujīvino, always living, yadu, the members of the Yadu dynasty, pravīrāha, great devotees, great heroes, he akutobhayā, fearless in every respect, muhuḥ, constantly, adhikramanty, traversing, aṅghribhir, by foot, āhṛtāṁ, brought about, balāt, by force, sabhāṁ, assembly house, sudharmāṁ, sudharma, sura-sattamocitām, the best among the demigods, uchitām, deserving. Translation and purport by His Grace, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, being protected by the arms of Lord Shri Krishna, always remain fearless in every respect, and therefore their feet trample over the Sudharma assembly house, which the best demigods deserved, but which was taken away from them. Purport. Those who are directly servitors of the Lord are protected by Lord from all fearfulness, and they also enjoy the best of things. Even if they are forcibly accumulated. The Lord is equal in behavior to all living beings, but He is partial to His pure devotees, being very affectionate toward them. The city of Dwarka was flourishing, being enriched with the best of the things in the material world. The state assembly house is constructed according to the dignity of the particular state. In the heavenly planets, the state assembly house called Sudharma was deserving of the dignity of the best of the demigods. Such an assembly house is never meant for any state on the globe, because the human being on the earth is unable to construct it. However far a particular state may be materially advanced. But during the time of Lord Krishna's presence on the earth, the members of the Yadu family forcibly brought the celestial assembly house to earth and placed it at Dwarka. They were able to use such force because they were certain of the indulgence and protection of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, the Lord is provided with the best things in the universe by His pure devotees. Lord Krishna was provided with all kinds of comforts and facilities available within the universe by the members of the Yadu dynasty. And in return, such servitors of the Lord were protected and fearless. A forgetful conditioned soul is fearful, but a liberated soul is never fearful. Just as a small child completely dependent on the mercy of his father, is never fearful of anyone. Fearfulness is a sort of illusion for the living being when he is in slumber and forgetting his eternal relation with the Lord. Since the living being is never to die by his constitution, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.20, then what is the cause of fearfulness? A person may be fearful of a tiger in a dream, but another man who is awake by his side sees no tiger there. The tiger is a myth for both of them, namely the person dreaming and the person awake, because actually there is no tiger. But the man forgetful of his awakened life is fearful, whereas the man who has not forgotten his position is not at all fearful. Thus the members of the Yadu dynasty were fully awake in their service to the Lord, and therefore there was no tiger for them to be afraid of at any time. Even if there were a real tiger, the Lord was there to protect them. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Chaitanyamanoਭીष्ટಂ સ્થાપિતં येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं गुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So every time I'm asked to sit here on the Vyasasana and talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm more and more humble because I'm definitely not at all qualified. But I take this as an opportunity to dive deeper into the study of Bhagavatam and get purified myself by speaking about it. So today I humbly seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas that I'll be able to speak on this exalted topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see in today's verse, Yudhishthir Maharaj he started glorifying Lord Krishna, and he's concerned about his whereabouts, how he is doing. So he's taking this opportunity in this verse to glorify the heroes of Yadu dynasty. He mentions that under the protection of Lord Krishna, the Yadu dynasty heroes are fearless. And he just cites one example that the demigods, they have this beautiful assembly hall. They had this beautiful assembly hall of Sudharmāṁ. So we see that for each nation there is an assembly hall constructed, and that is supposed to be very beautiful and very opulent, because that is the dignity of the nation. Even for India, they are constructing this under Central Vista project. They are constructing this new huge assembly hall, and that is supposed to be the symbol of the nation, the dignity of the nation. But in this case, the demigods, they had this beautiful assembly hall constructed called Sudharmāṁ, and Yadu dynasty just went and snatched it away from them. So one might wonder that isn't that kind of arrogance from Yadu's side, that they are just going there and snatching away the hall itself? So we have to understand, like Srila Prabhupada clarifies in the purport, that similar to how Krishna is concerned about his dear devotees, he is trying to offer him the best. The devotees also try to offer the best to Shri Krishna. And from the Yadu's side, this was the Krishna was the king of Dwarka, and they wanted to serve him in the best possible way. That's why they just thought, like, what is the best assembly hall we can get? It's from the demigods. So they just went and took it away. So we see that, like, I remember one example. It was in Shri Radha Kunj Bihari Mandir. There was one festival, and the food was arranged in the first floor, the prasadam serving. And there was a backdoor entry as well, like it was supposed to be exit. So we were in the crowd control department, and the devotees were placed at multiple spots. So our job was to scrutinize everyone, like whoever is trying to come from that side, we are supposed to scrutinize and like why you want to go and all. But suddenly there is one devotee, one temple resident devotee, he came running and he just asked all of us, like, just step aside, just make way, without fearing anything. And behind him, there was a very senior Vaishnava, a Prabhupada disciple, along with 2-3 of his devotees, and they suddenly came and they just walked away without any scrutiny. So we see, like, this is not we cannot say this is the arrogance from their side. They are serving the higher authority. So everything is meant to serve the complete system is meant to serve the higher authorities. In this case, the senior devotees, the Vaishnavas. And the crowd control was just to facilitate them. So this any one devotee who is directly serving under their instruction, he doesn't have to fear about the system, because even if like someone scrutinizes, he has the protection of the higher authority. So similarly, the Yadus were also under protection of Krishna, so they didn't have to fear about the demigods, because demigods are also ultimately serving Krishna. And they may be aware of, may or may not be aware. Like we see in the example, the Satyabhāma wanted the Parijat tree from the demigods, from Indra's kingdom. So they still fought. They were not willing to give it away. So Krishna had to fight with Indra to snatch it away. So they may not be aware, but essentially everything belongs to Krishna, and Yadus were very much aware of it. So that's why they were fearless in whatever they were doing. Even in Prabhupada's life, right, we see he instructed his disciples to serve the deities very gorgeously and very opulently. So they used to get like the best of the temples. They used to decorate the altar like anything. They used to get the best of the jewelry and ornaments and clothing for the deities. So many times the reporters used to ask Prabhupada, like, you are spending so much money on just deity worship. Why not spend it on some other activities like of social welfare? So Prabhupada were very bold enough to reply that everything belongs to Krishna, and we have to serve in our best possible way to Krishna. But you are not able to see this because you are envious of him. So similarly, Guru is also representation of Krishna. We see in another pastime of Srila Prabhupada that once a reporter asked him, your movement is supposed to be the ascetic movement, right? So Prabhupada said no. But he again challenged, but you seem to live a lifestyle of self-denial. So Prabhupada said no, our lifestyle is of love. We preach love of Krishna. So, but he was still asking again, but you see, you are, I heard that you are going to move away from this place in a Rolls Royce. So how I'm not able to make sense of it. Like you are supposed to be serve Krishna, but you yourself are going ahead, like you are using opulent vehicles. So Prabhupada immediately replied that Guru is also the representative of Krishna, and these devotees are offering me anything. Devotees are offering me the best. So why can't I use it in Krishna's service? Because if you see, Krishna is riding a golden chariot. And what is this Rolls Royce? This is just a tin and rubber. So in fact, this is not enough. That's what Prabhupada said. And the reporters were completely silent after that. They were not able to challenge it at all. So we see that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, and all the devotees are supposed to serve him in the best possible way, and that's what Yadus were doing. So in return, Krishna also is giving the best of the protection to his devotees. So in the Yadus example, we see that once there was a daughter of the demon Banasur named Usha. So she sees a very beautiful, handsome boy in her dream, and she feels very attracted towards him. So after waking up, immediately, like from her imagination, she creates that particular form on a painting with help of her friends, and immediately they search out like who is this beautiful boy, and they come to know that it is actually the grandson of Krishna, Aniruddha, the son of Pradyumna. So Banasur, being very affectionate to his daughter, he immediately attacks. He immediately plans to kidnap Aniruddha. So Aniruddha is also powerful. He also tries to fight back, but he was no match to the power of Banasur. So he was kidnapped, and then he was about to forcibly marry to Usha. So that time Yadus were offended, because like someone kidnapping your son is definitely like, so they had to fight back. So they planned to attack like along with Krishna himself. So Banasur was actually a very powerful demon. He was a worshipper of Lord Shiva. So he had this boon of 1,000 arms, very powerful arms. And he was not, there was no fighter competent enough to fight with him. So he used to be like very frustrated. He used to go to mountains, and with all his 1,000 arms, he used to like punch the mountain and break it into powder. But so he was very frustrated, and he goes to Shiva like, see, I'm so much powerful, but I don't have anyone to fight. So what's the use of this power? So that time Shiva told him that just wait and watch. One day someone would come, and he would be powerful enough for you. So this was the time when Krishna attacked with the Yadus, the kingdom of Banasur, and everyone fought, like including Balram, all the Yadus, Krishna. So Krishna was personally fighting with Banasur, and that time Shiva thought, like Lord Shiva, he was concerned about his devotee. So he personally came to fight, and he fought with Lord Krishna with all the weapons, Pashupati Astra and all Brahmastra, all the weapons that he had, he fought. So Krishna was, of course, like he defeated Lord Shiva eventually. And again, he started chopping off the arms of Banasur. So he chopped all the arms except 4 arms. And that time, Lord Shiva was humbled that, hey, please don't kill my devotee. I beg for you. So that time Krishna then stopped, and basically Banasur was defeated. And he agreed to give his daughter to Yadus, and they eventually get married. So in that story we see that Krishna was so much concerned about the Yadus. Like whenever they were in any danger, Krishna was personally there to fight and protect them. But someone will say, just because Krishna was a Yadu himself, he was like affectionate or partial towards Yadu dynasty. But that's not the case. Like we see even in the recent times, right? You might have watched the movie Sant Tukaram. So Shivaji Maharaj from the Maratha dynasty. So he was taking shelter of Sant Tukaram, and he was in the temple of Lord Vittal. So that time Mughals had this plan to attack and kill him at that time. So they surrounded the temple from all sides, and Shivaji Maharaj, he came to know that now they are going to kill him. So Sant Tukaram immediately said, now this is the time we should surrender to Lord Vitthal and he will protect. So everyone started singing Vitthal, Vitthal, Vitthal. And so Lord Vitthal there came personally to protect him. So what miracle he did was, like there were thousands of Shivaji Maharaj created, illusion of Shivaji Maharaj. And when they attacked, they were completely confused, like who is the real Shivaji Maharaj? Everyone is looking like Shivaji Maharaj. So they were completely bewildered and they were just running away, and they ran away eventually because they were not able to, they were afraid basically because everyone knows Shivaji Maharaj. So this is, in this example we see that Lord Krishna is actually not concerned about the Yadu dynasty. He is there to protect all his devotees. There is one more very interesting example. So this again happened somewhere around 15th century, maybe just before the advent of Lord Chaitanya. So there was a king called Purushottam Dev in Odisha. So he heard about the daughter of the king of Kanchipuram. Her name was Padmavati. So he heard about her beauty and he felt attracted to her. So he desired to marry her. So he sent a proposal to the king of Kanchipuram. The king was obviously concerned about his daughter. So he sent a spy to Jagannath Puri just to observe like how the king is. Is it fit enough for my daughter? So that spy traveled for 2 weeks and reached Jagannath Puri. So that was the day when this cart pulling festival was there. So he asked others like, where can I see the king? So they said he will be coming here in the festival. So he was eagerly waiting. So man came. So the king came himself, like in a simple white clothes with a turban on his head. So he was surprised, like how this is not a king. He is not even having a crown. He is wearing such simple clothes. Then he observed that he had a broom in his hand, that king. Then he was completely bewildered and he started sweeping the floor. So that time he was like completely, he was thinking like king is supposed to be Kshatriya, he is supposed to have a sword in his hand. And he's just having a jadu and he's just sweeping the floor. What kind of king he is? He's definitely not a match for my king's daughter. So he immediately goes back. He informs the king of Kanchipuram. Then that king also immediately sends a messenger that no, we are not interested in your proposal. So Purushottam Dev became furious because he was serving the Lord Jagannath. And this king, instead of acknowledging the supremacy of Lord Jagannath, he was thinking that serving him is like the Shudra mentality. So in order to protect the honor of the Lord Jagannath, he decided to fight. So he comes, he prepares the army and he fights Kanchipuram. But the Kanchipuram was also very, very powerful state. They had the strongest of the military. So they were not able to defeat Kanchipuram. So being defeated, they came back. And so he was very disheartened, Purushottam Dev, and he just went to Lord Jagannath and he was crying. So he asked him, like, I try to protect your honor by fighting, but you didn't help at all. Why did you do that? So that night when he went to sleep, Lord Jagannath came to his dream that he said, okay, so what you do, you prepare the army again, you fight the kingdom again. This time I'll personally, along with Lord Baldev, come and fight with you and assist you. So the next morning when he woke up, he immediately asked all his soldiers to get ready, and very soon he attacks again. So on his way, so there is one particular lake, I think Chittika Lake. So that they had one cowherd lady called Manika, I believe. So that lady, she stopped all these soldiers. So they asked, like, why? What's the matter? So she said, I want to talk to your king. So they brought her to the king, Purushottam Dev. So the king asked, like, what's the matter? So she said that the two of your soldiers, they just passed by ahead, and they drank so they were very tired. They were on horses, one on black horse, one on white horse, and they were very tired. So they took some buttermilk from me, but they didn't pay. So because they didn't have anything to pay, so they asked that my king would be coming after some time. You take the money from him. So I want the money from you. So they also gave a ring to me. So here's the ring, just to identify. So the king saw the ring, and so he immediately identified that this is the ring of Lord Jagannath, and this was kept in the treasury, and I only have the key. So this cannot be anything else than Lord Jagannath himself. So he was like very happy and satisfied, and he remembered the dream that he had promised that he will come. Lord Jagannath and Baldev would come. So with very new josh, new energy, he first of all thanked that lady and congratulated her because she was able to serve Lord Jagannath personally like this. And then he attacked, and they were fighting fearlessly this time because they knew Lord Krishna is with them, and they were able to defeat the complete army. And of course, like, they captured the king and they captured a daughter as well. And then the story goes on, a very interesting story that then Purushottam Dev, he wanted to punish the king, so he wanted the daughter to be married to Shudra. But the Prime Minister was very intelligent. So next time when Jagannath Rath Yatra happened, that time when king was actually brooming the street, then Prime Minister said that, hey, today you are Shudra in front of the Lord, and you promised that I should marry her to a Shudra. So now you should accept her. So that's how then the king also accepted Padmavati. And then they got married. And in fact, King Prataprudra that we know of, he is the son of Padmavati and King Purushottam Dev. So again, in this story as well, we see that Lord is there. Lord is there to protect his devotees. So in some form or the other, he is always going to protect the devotees. But we see in this life that there are so many devotees who are dying. So one might wonder, like, is Lord really there to protect us, or what's happening? So this world is, anyways, like, there are so many permutations and combinations which might go wrong. Especially for grihasthas, we might lose the job, we might lose some relatives, some things can be stolen, we might lose our house, anything can go wrong. Like, there are so many things which can go wrong. So Lord Krishna, in fact, this is basically, fear is so prominent that the largest amount of the budget of a country is allotted for defense. Even you would be surprised to know that 31% of the complete budget of government, like complete money of government of India, is allotted just for defense. So that's a huge money. So that is the position of fear. Like, there are so many things which can go wrong, so that everyone has to prepare for their own defense. So even Krishna doesn't, Krishna never claims that you would be free of any calamities or there won't be any death. Krishna never claims in Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the whole Bhagavad Gita is about the changing of bodies and how you are not the body. In fact, Krishna says this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So the miseries are going to be there at every step. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. So every step there are going to be calamities. Krishna himself says that. So then what is the protection, right? We see in the Bhagavatam, we see multiple stories where Krishna is protecting his devotees, but for us, we see there are so many calamities, so where is the protection of Lord? So again, interesting story of Gajendra is there. So many times we focus on the current, his life of an elephant, but his story starts from his previous life itself. So he was a very prominent, very strong devotee of Krishna, and he was King Indradanya. So he became, when he became old, he left his kingdom, like he left his family, and went on to live life of asceti inside a kutir. So that time he was he was completely immersed in meditation on Krishna. So that time Agastya Rishi came, and he was so much immersed that he was not able to welcome. He didn't even know that Agastya Rishi had come. So Agastya Muni felt offended, and he cursed him that you are so dumb that you don't even acknowledge the arrival of a sage. So you are just like an animal. So I curse you to become an animal. So he becomes the elephant in the next life. So we see that Krishna, he was a devotee of Krishna, but Krishna didn't protect him in physical sense. Like he didn't protect him from taking the body of Gajendra, right? So even in this case, because Krishna wanted him to be purified further, there was still some sense of controllership in his consciousness. So he wanted to purify that, and then later on, of course, in the next life, he still became king of elephants. But at the right moment, right, when he was just about to die, Krishna did help. Krishna did protect him by giving the remembrance of Krishna. So that time he was able to pray, and Krishna personally came and he liberated him. So we see that even in our life, at our stage, the conditioning is there. We still have some anarthas which are left to be verified. So Krishna is not going to, he wants us to be purified completely, just like the diamonds, right? So if you see like how the diamonds are prepared, they are actually initially the carbon atoms, like they are the coal. And like thousands of feet below the earth, they are lying there like for billions of years under tremendous pressure and tremendous heat. And that's how they get transformed slowly, gradually after billions of years to diamonds. And that's why they have so much value. The diamonds have so much, they are so much valuable. So Krishna is not going to pick up the coals. He only is going to pick up the diamonds. And he wants us to get purified to that level. So that's why he is going to give the calamities. So that we should see that, like just another example. There was a very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He, after serving Prabhupada for so many years, he somehow went off the track, like he was trapped in Maya. And he left everything. He left the movement, he left serving, he left Prabhupada. So that time Prabhupada had written him a letter. That's because you have chanted the holy name of Krishna at least once, Krishna is going to protect you. Krishna is not going to leave you. So that time he was not, still he didn't acknowledge that fact. He still went on committing so many sinful activities. But towards the end of his life, like after he was very old, he picked up a terminal disease, and that time all his relatives, friends who thought that they are his well-wishers, they left him. He was completely alone and just about to die. So that time he remembered that Krishna is not going to leave him even in that case, even in that stage. So he again came back to the devotees association. He again took up Krishna consciousness seriously. And when he died, he was in full Krishna consciousness. So when we ask that what is the protection of Krishna? So this is one example how the Krishna protects. Even if we, for some reason, even if we go away, Krishna is going to give you the remembrance. Krishna is going to arrange the situation so that we will come back to Krishna and devotees. So even in case of Gajendra, that impurity was there. So Krishna arranged situations such that that impurity was also purified, and then he became completely pure, and then he came back. So even in our life, even in case of Jada Bharat, we can see he was at this bhava platform, but still he had a little controllership. So he had to actually take 2 more births. But Krishna again arranged situations such that he gets purified. So in our life, we can see this is the mercy of Krishna, which is going to come in the form of purification. We might not like it. In fact, Krishna says, like there is this beautiful verse, Shrunvatam Sudakada Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Dentasta Yabadrani, Vidunoti Surut-sattamocitām. So purification happens when we chant with pure heart, and Paramatma in our heart, he gets pleased, and then he purifies the heart, purifies the anarthas within the heart. But that is one way. The faster, like a very more effective way is by bringing the calamities in the life of devotees. And Krishna will, many times we see that we might think that, hey, this is such a good devotee, why Krishna is doing this to him? But this is actually the mercy of Krishna, that he will bring some situations in the life of devotees so that they become completely purified and they become eligible to go back to Godhead. So what we should do, like what we should do to become fearless like devotees. So fear is going to be there. Fear is, in fact, it is said that fear is the mother of innovation. Like fear is going to be there. That's why some people take to materialistic solutions and some people take to spiritualistic solutions. So material solutions are like material advancement, like innovating many new products, the defense. There are so many nuclear bombs and so many instruments being invented every day, drones and all. So always there is innovation happening. In fact, most amount of money is spent in innovation in defense. So that is the materialistic way of solving the problem of fear. But we see it lacks the God consciousness. Like we see the example of Titanic, right? They invented Titanic thinking that even God cannot sink, but it couldn't even complete one voyage. It was just sink, like it just came out and after a few days it was sunk. So that such materialistic approach is never going to work. Eventually it's going to fail at some time. So then there is another approach called like the spiritual approach. So when we are going through the calamities, it's important to understand the philosophy, like we discussed, that calamities will be there. However hard we try materially, we cannot get rid of that. So it's better that we somehow get detached from the calamities. So what we can do is we have to first of all engage our mind in Krishna as much as possible. Chant Krishna's name, read about Krishna, read the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. So by doing that slowly and gradually, we get detached from the material attachments. So that is very important because the amount of pain that we would feel like when we lose someone or something, it's going to be proportional to the attachment that we have. But if we are on the strength of the philosophy, if we are detached from all these objects, sense objects, then we won't be fearful about losing them. Like if I'm not attached to, let's say, my car so much, even if the car gets stolen or it gets damaged, I won't be too much fearful about it. It's okay. So similarly, we have to cultivate this consciousness of detachment by reading more and more about Krishna and his philosophy. And it is very important to get a hierarchy because detachment is not going to come unless we have attachment to something better. So it is very important that we engage more and more in the activities that we like about Krishna consciousness. It can be any particular service, singing, hearing, some activity we should be attached to. And once we have that attachment, gradually everything would be detached and then we would be fearless gradually. And of course, ultimately, we have to make sure that we have the attachment to chanting. We have to keep, we have to, every day we have to practice to chant more and more seriously, because we are not going to, we might, I mean, if we are purified, we might see Krishna face to face, but till then, chanting is the only thing where we are actually connecting to Krishna personally. So we have to, whenever there is a fearful situation, chanting is the shelter. So that has to be there. And like Krishna gives a very beautiful, Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example that it's like a dreaming state. The conditioned state is like a dreaming state. We are afraid that there is a tiger in the dream. But someone who is awake, he is not afraid. So similarly, even Lord Chaitanya says, right, Jeev Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole. So all we have to do is just wake up. We are anyways, we are not the body, we are the soul. But since we are too much attached to all this body and all the connections to body, we are fearful of losing them. But once we are more and more attached to Krishna, this detachment would come. And of course, like this is going to be the month of book distribution coming up. So our duty is that since we have got this knowledge by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it's our duty that we spread it as much as possible and we award fearlessness to others as well. So it's a very good opportunity that we ourselves become fearful because we are under the protection of Krishna, and fearless, we become fearless because we are under the protection of Krishna, and we go out and preach and distribute books so that everyone would get this chance to awaken and become fearless. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.